We're here at Alexander Island on the grounds of the Pentagon. The Pentagon is right out here. Behind me is a channel. This is the far Virginia side of the Potomac River. And this is where the boundary that separates Virginia and D.C. is. It's not in the middle of the Potomac River. It's on the far side, the Virginia side of the Potomac River. And the drawing of the boundary goes way back to when Lord Baltimore, 300 years ago, when Lord Baltimore granted the land that would become Maryland. And he put the boundary in his land grant on the far side of the Potomac, not down the middle. The drawing of this boundary is the source of a simmering boundary dispute between Virginia and D.C. because what would happen is Alexander Island, when the tide went out, was part of Virginia. And when the tide was in, it would be an island, and the boundary would put the island, Alexander Island, squarely in D.C. Settling this boundary dispute was the source of congressional inquiry and numerous court decisions. Here's how the boundary dispute would come up. Long ago, there was a racetrack built here, and gambling on horses was legal in Virginia, but not allowed in D.C. A Virginia judge named Judge Chambers allowed the racetrack, setting a precedent that Alexander Island was part of the Commonwealth. And it didn't help the District of Columbia's argument because their police would refuse to come over to Alexander Island. And it came to a head in 1932 when the District of Columbia authorities wanted to compel Potomac Electric Power Company to bury power lines around the Hoover airfield, which was right around here. The legal question arose, did the D.C. regulators have this power? This time the House Judiciary Committee took interest in this matter because it was of national interest, national security interest, and held a week of day-long hearings on the subject of this alone, where the border is and if Alexander Island is part of Virginia or D.C. During these week-long hearings, the pro-D.C. side dug up 300-year-old legal records of Lord Baltimore granting the land that would become Virginia and where Lord Baltimore set the boundary. And it was a little bit unusual because the boundary was not set in the middle of the river, but on the Virginia side. Eventually, the Judiciary Committee chairman had to come out here and tour the area to get an idea of exactly what's going on. And he decided that Alexander Island was indeed an island in the Potomac River and therefore part of D.C. None of this really mattered because eventually the Pentagon was built on Alexander Island and the marsh was filled in, so Alexander Island was permanently affixed to Virginia, therefore becoming on the Virginia side of the boundary, and it was no longer subject to the tides. And that settled the boundary dispute over Alexander Island once and for all.